हेलो।
हेलो।
आवाज आ रही है?
एकदम एकदम स्टार्ट करिए।
गुड इवनिंग एवरीबॉडी।
गुड इवनिंग, गुड इवनिंग।
गुड इवनिंग। आवाज आ रही है सबको?
हाँ सर, आ रही है, आ रही है।
हाँ। गुड इवनिंग।
गुड
गुड
इवनिंग।
इवनिंग।
ऑल इंडिया फेडरेशन, ऑल इंडिया टैक्स फेडरेशन प्रैक्टिशनर्स। आज बजट जो हमारा कल 1 तारीख को जो हमारे यूनियन फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर श्रीमती निर्मला सीताराम रामन जी ने अपना छठा बजट इश्यू किया है, तो उसके ऊपर हम आज चर्चा करने जा रहे हैं। उससे पहले आज हमारे साथ हमारा ये ऑनलाइन जूम मीटिंग में हमारे साथ ठाणे टैक्स बार एसोसिएशन, टैक्स प्रैक्टिशनर एसोसिएशन और बड़ौदा टैक्स बार एसोसिएशन हमारे साथ ज्वाइन हुआ है। तो मैं उन सभी एसोसिएशन के ऑफिस बेरर्स और कमिटी मेंबर्स और सभी मेंबर्स को इनवाइट करता हूं, उनका स्वागत करता हूं। आज हमारे साथ ऑल इंडिया फेडरेशन के नेशनल बॉडी के भी हमारे जॉइंट सेक्रेटरी गिरीश राठी जी, भरत भाई सचदेव जी हमारे साथ जुड़े हुए, उनका भी बहुत बहुत उनको भी मैं वेलकम करता हूं। और हमारे साथ नेशनल बॉडी के सीए श्री विजय केवल रामानी, जो आज हमारे स्पीकर भी है हमारी इस मीटिंग के, तो उनका भी मैं स्वागत कर रहा हूं। साथ में ऑल इंडिया फेडरेशन वेस्ट जोन की पूरी 2024 की पूरी कमेटी के सभ्यों, मेरे साथ मेरे ऑफिस बेरर्स में वाइस वाइस चेयरमैन वेस्ट जोन के श्री कमलेश साबू है, साबू जी, सेक्रेटरी अक्षय मोदी, जॉइंट सेक्रेटरी केतन भाई सेठ, केतन भाई शाह और राजकुमार भामरे जी, और हमारे ट्रेजरर श्री हर्ष भाई चुंगानी का भी मैं स्वागत कर रहा हूं। और मैं आज के हमारे जो स्पीकर से श्री सीए केवल विजय रामानी जो थाने से, और दूसरे हमारे स्पीकर है जो बजट के ऊपर एनालिसिस हमको देंगे, वो है बेंगलुरु से श्री जीएस प्रशांत जी, उनको भी वेलकम कर रहा हूँ। आप सभी को फिर से एक बार हार्टली वेलकम है मेरा, तहे दिल से आपका मैं स्वागत कर रहा हूँ। अब आगे ये जूम मीटिंग की आगे की कार्य के लिए मैं हमारे सेक्रेटरी से अक्षय मोदी को आगे की कार्यवाही करने के लिए विनती करता हूँ। प्लीज अक्षय।
Now I request Ketan Bhai Shah to kindly introduce our speaker of first session, Mr. Vijay Kewalramani, so that first technical session can be started. केतन भाई,
हाँ,
આપણે सीए
किशन
विजय
भाई,
भाई
पहले आपने बड़ौदा टैक्स बार एसोसिएशन के बारे में कुछ कीजिए, कुछ कहिए, फिर बाद में
हाँ,
हमारे जो स्पीकर है उनका इंट्रोडक्शन भी दीजिए प्लीज।
ठीक है, ठीक है। गुड इवनिंग।
गुड इवनिंग।
आई केतन बी शाह, प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ बड़ौदा टैक्स बार एसोसिएशन एंड जॉइंट सेक्रेटरी ऑफ ऑल इंडिया फेडरेशन ऑफ टैक्स कंसल्टेंट्स वेस्ट जोन, welcome each and every one of you present here. I am delighted to have been given this opportunity and will do my level best to organize a study circle in collaboration with AIFTP West Zone. I am giving brief introduction of Sri CA Vijay Kewalramani sir. It gives me pleasure in introducing today's speaker, CA Vijay Kewalramani, for today's webinar on Union Budget for the year 24-25, organized jointly by AIFTP Tax Practitioners Association, Thane and Baroda Tax Bar Association. Sri C.A. Vijay Kewalramani, born on 12th July 1969, chartered accountant practicing since last 30 years in field of direct taxes, appellate and fraud investigations. By qualification, he is become LLB, LLM, FCA, MBA Finance, CMA. He was invited to train government supreme auditors of Afghanistan on fraud detection and risk management. He has author of book Limited Liability Partnership Simplified through Frequently Asked Questions, published by All India Federation of Practitioners. He is prolific speaker, addressed the various professionals forums across the country and overseas. His professional and non-professional talks are available at his YouTube channel Vijay Narayan Kewalramani. His hobbies are traveling, networking, socializing. He was past National Treasurer, All India Federation of Tax Practitioners, past President, Tax Practitioner Association, Thane, past President, Tax Friends Association, Mumbai, steering committee member of Institute of Chartered Management Accountants of Australia and New Zealand, India chapter. Currently is NEC member at AIFTP. He is also associated with various social organizations such as Advisory Board member, Emerald Planet International Foundation, Washington, USA. He widely traveled Rotarian and has attended clubs physical from Jammu in north to Kanyakumari in south and from Vadodara in the west to Kolkata in the east. He has attended over 3,000 Zoom meetings internationally and has friends in over 20 countries across the Rotary world. Member of 14 Rotary Fellowship groups and 3 Rotary Action groups. He is director on Rotarians on the Internet Rotary Fellowship Group 2023 to 23-25. He is honorable member in 7 clubs in 7 districts and 6 countries. His mother, Srimati Uma Narayan Kewalramani, is a housewife and was Chartered Vice President of Inner Wheel Club of Thane East. Wife Dr. Gayatri is a MD Microbiology and MPhil and is working with multinational company in senior management position. Son Saurabh is studying in law and is also Rotaractor and also a chartered president of newly formed Rotaract Club of Thane Titans and also chartered Rotarian member of Rotary Club of Thane Titans. Introduced to Rotary at tender age of 11, where joined as a chartered he was chartered president of Muland East in 1991, where he won the best new club award in the year. With the short introduction of Sri C.A. Vijay Kewalramani, would be pleasure to hear him in this webinar on budget. With this, I conclude with brief introduction of Sri Vijay Kewalramani. Thank you.
Thank you, Ketan Bhai, for this detailed introduction. Friends, as we all know, the interim budget was presented yesterday, and there was not much into it. So what we decided is let us go into the technicalities and try to understand the process the government follows for making the budget. I hope my screen is visible.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll just reshare. Yeah, my screen is visible, right?
Right, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, visible. It is visible.
It's fine. So, friends, we have been seeing the budget. Everybody gets like yesterday, although there were 3-4 changes, it immediately comes to us through WhatsApp and all. But we need to understand the efforts put in by the government, कितनी मेहनत करते हैं, कितना trust डालते हैं वो लोग, कितना कोशिश करते हैं to bring us this budget. This is a big exercise. It takes over 6 to 8 to 9 months to prepare the budget and present it over to the public. There's a big process. So I have tried to make it simplified so that we also try and understand the budget making process, because this is important for us, especially as professionals, especially as senior citizens. It's easy to criticize the government ki this was not taken care of, this was not taken care of, this should have been taken care. But it's a big process. There's a coordination between the government, the different ministries, different states, their grants, their requirements are taken into consideration, and ultimately it is decided and the budget is presented. There may be some shortcomings, there may be some things which are left out. So which normally if the government gets good suggestions, they amend it at the time of passing the budget, they change those things and they add it up. So what we will be looking, initially we will be going into the history of the union budget, how the union budget started being presented in India, and then how the budget is made. That is the process, that is the main topic we will be seeing. Friends, this is what happens. Normally, this is the perception that the people have. कि मैं कमा रहा हूँ और गवर्नमेंट पूरा लेके चली जाती है मेरे पास. मैं यहाँ से मेहनत करके वो फिश, he is taking the fish, he is this fisherman, that poor fellow, he is getting the fish, and you can see from the basket something is taken out, which is the tax part that is going to the government. तो एक ये मेंटालिटी होता है कि अरे यार मेहनत मैं कर रहा हूँ, पूरा गवर्नमेंट लेके जाती है. तो गवर्नमेंट पूरा नहीं लेके जाती है, बट उनको थोड़ा कुछ तो चाहिए. So let us understand the definition of the budget to start with. The slides are moving, na Mansukh bhai?
Yes, sir. Perfect, sir.
The word budget, it is derived from the French word boget, which means a leather bag. आप देखते हैं ना, जब भी मिनिस्टर आता है तो लेदर बैग में पहले लेके आते थे. आजकल पिछले 2-3 साल से हमारी मैडम वो एक लाल कलर के पाउच में लेके आती है. अर्लियर इट यूज्ड टू बी अ लेदर बैग. तो उसमें से बोगेट में से बजट वर्ड बना. It is normally announced to disclose the government's future expenditures intended to strengthen the nation's economy and consolidate economic stability through tax proposals. The budget in India was first introduced by the then East India Company to help the British Crown to understand. The pre-independence finance minister James Wilson, he presented the first budget to India for India on 7th of April 1860. The budget used to be presented, as we all know, in the evening. The reason being, the British Parliament used to meet in the afternoon. Once they approved the budget, then only it was being presented to the Indian Parliament. Because ultimately they were the rulers, so they had to approve the budget. So it was approved by the British Parliament in the afternoon. That's why it was a trend that the budget should be presented in the evening, which was continued till long, till say around 2001. The first budget of independent India, it was presented by R.K. Shanmugam Chetty. He was the first finance minister of independent India in November 1947, and there were no tax proposals in that. John Mathai, the third finance minister, he presented the first budget of the Republic of India, that is in 1950-51. Once we became the Republic on 26th of January 1950, the first budget was presented by John Mathai. And the first budget of the first elected government. As we all know, the first elections were held in 50-51 after being Republic. C.D. Deshmukh, Chintamani Deshmukh ji, he presented the first budget of the first elected Indian Parliament. Morarji Desai, our former past Prime Minister, he holds the record of presenting the budget the highest number of times, that is 10 times. I think our current Finance Minister, Sitaraman ji, she has presented the budget yesterday for the 6th time. So that must be the second in line. But Morarji Desai ji holds the record for the highest number of presentation of budget. Initially, the budget used to be printed in English only. Then they started printing in Hindi since 1955-56. Up to the year 2000, the budget was presented at 5 p.m. on the last working day of month of February. That was the trend of the evening going on, that it used to be presented on 28th or 29th of February, being the last working day. In the year 2001, Yashwant Sinha, being the finance minister, he started the practice of presenting the budget at 11 a.m. That's what I told you earlier, that the budget used to be presented up to 2001, up to in the evening. In the year 2017, Arun Jaitley, as a finance minister, he changed the date of presenting the budget to 1st of February at 11 a.m. Earlier, as we all know, it used to be in the end of February. Since 2017, Arun Jaitley, being the finance minister, he changed the date to 1st of February. So what is the general budget? Now, let us understand what's the general budget before we go into the process of making of the budget. It's the annual exercise of presenting the budget. And it's a mean to present a roadmap for detailing the use of public resources. As we all know, the government highlights the roadmap, the achievements, what they have done, how much they have spent for the infrastructure, how much they have done capital expenditure, how much revenue expenditure, how much they have spent for military, how much is the plan to spend. So everything comes in that. Article 112 of the Constitution states that government should lay before the Parliament annual financial statement, that is the budget. So it is also mandated by Article 112 that the budget should be presented to the Parliament. The annual financial statement or the budget is prepared on a cash basis and on a realistic estimate. So normally, and this we must have seen, the government when it gives estimates of tax collections and all, it is net of refund, because refund, although it may be pertaining to previous years, because it is given in the current year. So the revised estimates, when they are given for the collections, it shows net of refund because the government functions on a cash basis. This is how our website, the indiabudget.gov.in sees. And these are the documents that are presented along with the budget. Whenever we present the budget, we see the budget. And if you go to that website, here you will find all these are the documents that you will find. The annual financial statement, that's the budget. The demand from grants that has come from various states, various ministries. The receipts budget, expenditure budget, volume 1 and volume 2, basically capital and revenue. The finance bill suggesting the changes in the tax structures. Finance will basically suggest the changes in the structures. Memorandum explaining the provisions in the finance bill. So we have a memorandum which gives details of the provisions, what the government has brought and the reasoning behind it, why it is brought. Then a budget at a glance, highlights of the budget, status of implementation of announcements in finance minister's budget speech. So whatever she had made important announcement that we would be doing this. So the finance minister in the next speech, it gives the status. So it is not given in the speech itself, but it is given as a backup paper on the website. You can download it and check it out, that what were the assurances given, what was the announcement made, and what is the follow-up. And Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Act related documents. This is basically the stewardship that the government had introduced. It was introduced by Shri Manmohan Singh post 1991. It is basically to ensure responsibility of the government, that the government also acts within the budget and it just does not go out of hand. As we all know, we have a comparative budget of the US, which always is a deficit budget. And why? Because they just keep on minting money. But here in India, we have a fiscal responsibility statement that has to be given along with the budget, which clearly shows for fiscal prudence to keep the deficit in control. This is an important statement. To keep a check on what the government says, so they cannot make ad hoc and just vague announcements and vague promises. Whatever promises they make, it has to be checked and they are kept in check. What are the roles played by various people? Traditionally, it is the role of the finance ministry to present the budget. The budget division of the Department of Economic Affairs, which is part of the finance ministry, is primarily responsible for presenting the budget to the parliament. The Department of Expenditure looks into the expenditure related financial policies. Office of the Controller General of Accounts. Mind you, this is not the Comptroller Account General, that is the CAG. This is the Controller General of Accounts, which maintains accounts, sound accounting system. It maintains the accounting that we see, the revised estimates and accounts of various ministries that we get along this statement. The chief economic advisor of the country, he holds the discussions with Niti Aayog. Before the Niti Aayog was formed in 2014, there used to be the Planning Commission. So the CEA used to discuss with the Planning Commission and state governments to prepare 5-year plans. 5-year plans used to be there for the working, and based on that, they advise the government for the budget currently to ensure that the 5-year plans are also taken care of. Then resources for which are allocated in the budget. So that's what I said, after the 5-year plan, so the planning is done, like Manrega, there's a 5-year plan, maybe food security, there would be a 5-year plan immediately. Even now in the current budget, as you have seen, the government has assured that the free ration given to 80 crore people would continue up to 2028. So resources have to be allocated for that. The plan has to be done for that. That's why it's done on a 5-year plan. Planning is done. The Finance Commission is responsible for allocating the taxes to the states and central government. The share of the taxes that goes from the central to the states is decided by the Finance Commission. If you remember, up to 2014, the states used to get around 28% of the central share. Now the states are getting over 42% of the central share of taxes. The state share of taxes, anyhow, they are getting their own collections, but whatever collections are being made by the central government, up to 2014, the states used to get only 28%. Now the states are given 42% and above as a central share, state share for the central taxes collected. RBI is responsible for defining the monetary policy. Friends, you would be trying to think why I am bringing in all these things, because these are all, they are taken care in the budget. It is, the budget is not made individually by just by the Financial Ministry, the Department of Economic Affairs. Everybody is taken care. The RBI is involved, the Finance Commission is involved. So whatever they do, they have to plan. Like as I said, 58% goes to the central government. So 58%. So what revenue they would need for that 58% to run the country, to take care of their expenses, take care of the infrastructure, developmental expenses, and whatever all they are doing. So the RBI has to define monetary policy accordingly. So it's a team which runs. Everybody works together. The budget exercise normally starts in the month of October, August, and September, and it ends in May of the next year with the passing of the union budget. Like the budget was presented yesterday, but it is an interim budget. But in case of a normal budget, the normal budget is presented on 1st of February. Then after 10 to 15 days, there's a break of the parliament. It goes to the standing committee. There are recommendations received. Once the recommendations are received and feedback is obtained from the public, then in the second half of the session, the budget session, the government passes. And normally it is passed up to 31st of May, depending on the session. Now this budget, the interim budget may be passed immediately because the elections are due. And then another budget will be presented in July, which would be passed by the end of July. That is only a standby, only in case of elections where an interim budget is given. Otherwise, as the normal budget is passed by end of May. So what are the stages of preparing a budget? We also know what we do in the budget. We estimate the expenses, and based on that, we try to estimate the revenues. But here also, estimates of revenues and expenditures are done. What would be the total expenditures that would be required? What would be the total revenue that would be required based on that? And the expenditures would not, means how it is arrived at is, as we said earlier, it is in discussion with the state and central government, various ministries, the Finance Commission, and also demands are received from all the ministries, demands are received from all the states. Based on that, the expenditures are decided, and based on that, the government decides what revenue should be charged, maybe in indirect taxes, maybe in direct taxes, or if there is a shortfall, then how much fiscal deficit we can sustain, and based on that, how much new minting has to be done. Then the first estimate of deficit is prepared. Once we have a revised estimate of expenditures and revenues, what is the normal revenue currently, like this year they had over the last 5 years, they say our income tax revenue has increased by 3.5 times. So they know the incomes are increasing, what estimate it would increase. Based on that, they have the first estimate on the budget. Then the ministry starts planning in discussion with other ministries, state governments and all that. How do we narrow down the deficit? So how the expenditures can be cut or how the revenues can be increased. They look into all the possibilities. The grants that are coming from the ministries and the grants that are coming from the various ministries and maybe from all the states and all that, they may request them that what are your urgent grants, what is the necessary expenditure, what you can curtail, if you can curtail something. And based on that, maybe if the revenue is too short, then they may think of increasing the tax base or increasing the revenue by increasing taxes and all that. So there are various things of increasing the revenue. It can be through increasing the tax base. It can be through increasing the taxes. So it depends. Based on that, the deficit is narrowed, and once that is finalized, the presentation and approval of the budget is done in the parliament. So these are the basic 4 stages of the budget making. The process starts with the issuing of the budget circular to all the ministries or departments, calling for revised estimates of revenue and expenditures for current year. So whatever estimates they had done for the last year and the budgets were allocated, so they are asked to give revised estimates of revenue and also the expenditure for the current year, what they need for the next year, so that the budget can be prepared. That is the budget estimates of the financial year, and also setting the time limit. They are also given a time limit that, yes, as I said, it starts in August, mid-August. So they are giving a timeline that you have to reply maximum by mid-September and all that, because it's a process and everybody has to be involved in that. October is normally utilized for follow-up on circular and collecting and gathering data from ministries for pre-budget discussion. So once the ministries get the data from state departments, from ministries, from state governments, then they plan for pre-budget discussions. Pre-budget meetings are called by the finance ministry and the economic secretary with financial advisors and other stakeholders. Even we are called, the institute is called in pre-budget meetings, various tax bodies are called, various industry bodies are called, various unions are called for pre-budget meetings to understand their requirements, what are their requirements for the budget, what they need, what suggestions they have, reduction of taxes, increase of expenditure, and whatever it is. So the suggestions are invited, like our association, even AIFTP gives a pre-budget memorandum. Practically all practicing associations, our Institute of Chartered Accountants and other, the FICCI, ASOCHEM, they all give pre-budget memorandums based on their requirements, based on their suggestions. The government has pre-budget meetings with them, and then they discuss all these suggestions with them and arrive at a final figure. And then some proposals may be accepted, it may not be accepted, depending on the government's assessment, whether it is required, whether they can sustain, whether it is not needed. Based on that, it is done. Then Niti Aayog presents its forecast of the planned resources required by the first week of November. As I said, it's a 5-year plan. So the planning is done. So they inform the ministry that for this year, we have planned this much, because on the 4-year plan for this year, this is the planning. And for this, we would need all these resources required. That is this much funding, this much planning and all that. Maybe schemes like Manrega, maybe schemes like Jandan, maybe schemes like Ujjwala. Now the solar scheme that has been started. So this planning is given to the finance ministry, and the finance ministry plans. Then ceilings of planned and non-planned expenditure, including major subsidies and defense, are finalized around mid-November. So based on all the requirements received, the ceilings are finalized. What is the ceiling for the planned expenditure and what is the ceiling for unplanned expenditure, except for major subsidies, like this food subsidy given for 80 crore people, or defense, because defense is one thing that the government cannot afford to compromise. So for these subsidies, except for these subsidies and defense, planned and non-planned expenditures, there is a ceiling set that, okay, we will keep the ceiling. This is up to the maximum limit till which we can have the planned expenditure or the non-planned expenditure, and we will not go beyond that. The ceilings are communicated to the concerned ministries, departments, or the state governments by the end of November. As I said, this was the second part, narrowing of the deficit. So they are asked to curtail that this is your ceiling. Now you can give us the revised estimates. They might have submitted the original estimates by October, as we have seen through the earlier process. So they are given time limit that you please submit these ceilings in the revised estimates so that we can move ahead. Then a third circular based on that for supplementary demands of GRAS is issued in the first week of December, because the earlier demands were received. Now, if the ceilings, if there is a scope, the states may give a supplementary circular for supplementary demands for grants, additional grants that may need, or maybe for last year also, if there's a shortfall, they may need some supplementary demand. So a third circular is issued in the first week of December that you give it within 15 days. Cross budgetary support is intimated to Niti Aayog by second week of December. That is what this is what we can give you based on the resources that they have asked to the budgetary support that they can give to the Planning Commission for their projects is given by second week of December. Planned allocation is intimated to the ministries by third week of December. So final allocation that is done, as I said, within 15 days once they get the supplementary demands, grants or the original demands. Then the planned allocation to various ministries, departments. Here, when I am speaking about ministries and departments, it also includes the state governments. Please take care. Although it may not be written, I have missed out, it seems, but it includes all the ministries, departments, as well as the state government over there. Once they receive, they start submitting their revised and budget estimate based on the ceiling defined from the second week of December. So the plan is given to them that we can go by this. These are the ceilings that you have. These are the limits that you have. The states and the departments and the ministries, they start working on it. And based on that, they start submitting their revised and budget estimate. So earlier, they might have given XYZ amount, but since the ministry says, the finance ministry says that we have a budget, this is the ceiling, you cannot go beyond. So they revise all their estimates and the ceilings and they move around. Estimates of major subsidies and defense. Once all these revised estimates are received, the estimates of major subsidies and defense are finalized by end December. Because as I said, there cannot be any compromise, especially on defense, but subsidies are also normally required in a welfare state because India is basically a welfare state. So we need to give major subsidies like Manrega, food security, and the right to education. So that planning has to be there. So then they look into it, what can be done. The proposals from various ministry departments have to be received by end of December. All the estimates are finalized by 5th of January and the budget printing work starts. The whole process that started somewhere in August or September through the issue of circulars to the department, to the ministries, will culminate by 5th of January and the budget printing work starts. So once it is done, the accumulation of the documents start, the budget documents are then accumulated. Printing initially used to be done in the Rashtrapati Bhavan, which was subsequently shifted to the Minto Road press in Delhi. And since 1980, the budget papers are printed in the basement of the North Block in the Finance Minister's press. So it doesn't, the budget documents do not move out of the North Block at all. They are directly moved into the basement from the Finance Ministry offices. The process is totally sealed from public in January. So January, no press, no public, nobody can enter the press. It is totally sealed. It is totally blocked because we have seen the secrecy of the budget. Even in news up to yesterday morning, you might see there is an information the government may give this benefit, the government may give. Yesterday morning, if you see, although it was an interim budget, but lots many things were said that this 6,000 rupees that is given to the poor families, farmers, it may increase to 12,000 rupees. The Ladli Bahan Yojana in MP, it may be brought in the India at the central level and that scheme may be introduced. In the budget, there may be some tax reliefs given. There may be some excise cut given for the petrol and fuel, all that. So all these were going on. If you have read up to 11 o'clock in the morning, these analysis that you might have seen all on paper, everybody has some plan. Everybody thinks that I will get this. But it is so secretive that it is very difficult to get information from inside what is actually going. And yesterday is a good classic case where we saw that all many estimates were done. We are getting information. The government might give this, the government might increase this allocation, the government might increase this allocation. And at the end of the day, what happened? Hardly 2 amendments were suggested in the budget. So this is what happens. This is the level of secrecy that is maintained. The printing of non-sensitive documents like expenditure budget, part 1 and 2, demands for grants, etc. starts on 16th of January. Non-sensitive documents are moved from budget press to room number 72 in North Block on 21st February. So once the non-tentative documents which are started printing from 16th of January, this is 21st January, sorry, there's a printing mistake. This is 21st of January. It is not 21st of February. I'm sorry, there's a typing error. So the non-sensitive documents, once they are printed, they are moved from the budget press to room number 72 in the North Block again. Budget press is locked on 24th January. So once the employees are inside, all staff are restricted from leaving the press till the date of budget. So you can imagine their plight. Earlier, when it was on 20th February, they used to be there for 11 days inside. Somewhere around 15th or 16th of February, they used to go inside. A lock is kept from outside. They are not allowed a mobile phone. They are not allowed phones. They have to stay inside. They cannot be in touch with their families, neither friends. Nobody can enter except some of the high-ranking officials like the finance secretary or maybe the CA or maybe the finance minister or the minister. Nobody can enter that room till the day of the budget. That is early morning on the budget. They go inside. And how it happens is, this happens is with this halwa ceremony. You must have seen for the past few years, it has been shown on TV. So this halwa ceremony used to be done on 15th or 16th of February earlier. Now it is done on 24th of January. It is what it says, it is an integral prelude to the budget presentation, hosted and attended by the finance minister and other officials involved in the budget making process. The ceremony heralds the start of budget document printing. So उनको खिला पिला के अच्छा मीठा मीठा खिला के फिर अंदर रूम में जाके पैक कर देते हैं सील में, भैया अभी आप नहीं निकले. So they are pushed into the room. They are locked from outside. They are disconnected from their families. They are disconnected from their friends. No touch with the outside world. They are only concerned with the budget. This is to ensure the secrecy of the budget, that nothing goes out. Printing of the receipts, budget, including financial responsibility and budget management, statements and annexures and annual financial statements begin on 24th of January with the halwa ceremony, as we saw the halwa ceremony photograph. Finance bill in Hindi and English, memorandum explaining the provisions of the finance bill and budget and the glance is printed somewhere around 25th of January. Finance minister's budget speech and key features of the budget are printed on 28th of January. That is we saw in that list, budget speech, key features and all. Then a cabinet summary note is prepared on the 29th of January. What does that mean is a note is presented along with the budget to the cabinet for approval, because everybody can't read the whole speech and the budget. So a brief summary is presented to the cabinet, because until the budget is approved by the cabinet, it cannot be presented to the parliament. You must have noticed every finance minister just before going to the parliament, first they go to the president, they meet them, get their approval, then they go to the parliament. In parliament, there is a cabinet meeting half an hour before the budget presentation, 15 to 20 minutes before actually, and then 11 o'clock the budgets are. So this is the level of secrecy that is maintained. Even the ministers are not aware. They are made to given a cabinet summary only 15-20 minutes earlier. So it is very difficult for them to leak out any information. So this is the level of secrecy that is maintained for the budget. Then the approval of the PM on the cabinet summary is obtained somewhere around 30th or 31st. And there is a summary presented for the president to approve, because it is this presentation is under Article 112 of the Constitution, as we saw earlier. So the approval of the president is also required. So the summary note for the president is required. So the PM's approval is needed, and which is done by 30th of 31st. Then the president's recommendation on the budget under section 112, 115 and 117 of the Constitution are obtained on the 30th or 31st or 1st of February, latest by 8:30 a.m. This is what we see, that the finance minister goes to the president house, that is the Rashtrapati Bhavan, and gets their approval latest by 8:30. So normally it happens from there, they go to the parliament. Then the cabinet approval on the budget proposal based on the cabinet summary is obtained early morning of 1st of February. As I told you, it is just 15 to 20 minutes prior to the budget presentation in the parliament itself. Once the finance minister goes to the president house, from Rashtrapati Bhavan, the finance minister goes directly to the parliament. From the parliament, in the parliament, 20 minutes prior, there is a cabinet meeting, they approve it, and the finance minister directly goes to the house and presents the budget. And then you have the budget speech coming. The finance minister starts the budget speech sharp at 11 a.m. on 1st of February. Once the finance bill is introduced in the Lok Sabha, on the completion of the speech, the bill is introduced in the Lok Sabha and the budget documents are laid in the Rajya Sabha immediately on the conclusion. And then it is approved somewhere in May. So I will be open for, these are the sources from where I have got all this information. And I would like to thank AFTP West Zone for giving me an opportunity for presenting this technical issue. And I'm open for questions. If any, you can raise a hand and you will be unmuted to ask the questions. Prashanth bhai, over to you.
थैंक यू विजय भाई, आपने बजट कैसे प्रिपेयर करते हैं और किस तरह से आपने फर्स्ट बजट कब इंट्रोड्यूस हुआ था, वो सब आपने हमको जो जानकारी दिया वो हमारे लिए बहुत जरूरी है। और हम लोग जो चीज से वाकिफ नहीं थे उससे आपने वाकिफ करवाया, तो वो भी एक हमारे लिए बहुत अच्छी बात हुई है। तो आपने आपने अपनी स्पीच में बजट कैसे प्रिपेयर करते हैं उसके बारे में हम सभी को डिटेल में जानकारी दी, उसके लिए मैं आपका धन्यवाद करता हूँ। अब मैं सभी मेंबर्स को रिक्वेस्ट कर रहा हूँ कि किसी को भी इसके बारे में कोई क्वेश्चन हो तो प्लीज आप, विजय भाई हमारे पास यहाँ पर है तो आप उनसे क्वेश्चन आंसर कर सकते, प्लीज। एनीवन हैव एनी क्वेश्चंस? हाँ बोलिए मितेश भाई बोलिए।
Yeah.
Vijay bhai,
हाँ.
one query is about the economic survey. What is the importance and the relevance of economic survey just before the presentation of the budget in the house?
Sir, economic survey is the guidance note that is given to the government that this was our plan. They do us that this is what we had planned during the year for doing and what is the current situation and how we will be moving ahead. So it plays as the guidance map for the government to move ahead. And it also informs the public that what goes on and how it proceeds.
Okay, thank you.
People can raise hand and they can ask, we will unmute them immediately. And
anyone have questions, please?
you can unmute and just ask the question, no problem. Our next speaker, Prashanth ji, has also joined. Welcome, Prashanth.
Thank you, Vijay sir.
I think Shashank bhai, you can move ahead to the next.
Hello. Welcome, Prashanth ji.
Namaste, namaste.
नमस्ते, कैसे? बढ़िया,
बस बढ़िया।
बराबर। फ्रेंड्स, आज हमारे साथ बेंगलुरु से सीएससी प्रशांत जीएससी हमारे साथ जुड़े हैं। वो हमको बजट एनालिसिस के बारे में डिटेल में जानकारी देंगे। तो मैं हमारे सेक्रेटरी अक्षय मोदी को कहता हूँ, रिक्वेस्ट करता हूँ कि वो आगे की कार्यवाही हाथ लें।
Thank you, Shashank bhai. First of all, I recognize the presence of Advocate Smith Saurabh ji, NVP East Zone, Dr. Hemant S. Mode, NEC member, CA Jamna Shukla, past secretary, AFTP, Advocate Sunil ji Kushlani, NEC member, CA Manoj Moriani, NEC member, Advocate Bhaskar ji from South Zone, CA Anil Mathur ji, National Treasurer, AFTP, and CA Nitish S. Mori, past chairman, AFTP Western Zone. Now, I request Mr. Bharat Sachdev ji to welcome and introduce the Prashanth GSG, today's speaker, for the introduction, explanation of budget. Bharatji, handing over to you.
Yeah, thank you. Am I
भरत भाई
audible?
भरत भाई भरत
Yeah,
भाई
yeah.
Am I audible?
हाँ भरत भाई एक मिनट, ये बीच में कोई डिस्टरबेंस आ रहा है, किसी का मोबाइल चल रहा है, तो प्लीज
मैं
जरा हाँ
मैं म्यूट कर देता हूँ शशांक भाई.
ओके 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 थैंक यू, प्लीज भरत भाई कंटिन्यू.
Am I audible now?
Yeah.
यस यस
So, friends, good evening. This
गुड
will be the
इवनिंग
first
गुड
time
इवनिंग.
this is the first time I'll be introducing a dear friend, and that too from a car. So I couldn't leave an option of introducing Prashanth, even though I'm traveling on the way. So, first of all, I thank the AFTP West Zone and Taxpaying Association Thane for this opportunity, and it's indeed a pleasure to be in this online Zoom meeting while traveling in a car. And Vijay Bhai, as usual, does a wonderful job. And now the baton is passed on to Prashanth. So let me introduce a fellow chartered accountant. Mr. Prashanth GS is a fellow member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India and is practicing in Bangalore. A graduate in commerce, he pursued his CA course and qualified in 2006. He is actively involved in consultancy on matters relating to search and survey, both under income tax and under GST laws. He also consults on matter under corporate taxation, transfer pricing, international taxation, and handles litigation and representation of matters at various levels. He is engaged in advising businesses on matters arising under PMLA, a very important topic, which one of the days we'll tell Prashanth to handle it separately for us. Benami and black money laws. Before setting up his independent practice, he was working as a manager taxation in Singhvi Dev and Unni, a chartered accountant firm in Bangalore. He has presented more than 150 papers under the above laws in various seminars, conferences, and other professional platforms. He has previously served as a co-opted member of the Committee of International Taxation constituted by SIRC of ICAI and also as a faculty at the Bangalore branch of SIRC of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. He has also served as a member of the Finance Advisory Committee of the Karnataka State Cricket Association and as a member of Central Taxes Committee of Federation of Karnataka, Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Currently, Prashanth is a member of Banking and Finance Committee, FKCCI, member of Regional Direct Tax Advisory Committee, Karnataka, constituted under the CBDT under the Ministry of Finance, member of the Fee Fixation Committee of Adi Chunagiri University, Karnataka, occasional faculty at the Fiscal Policy Institute of Government of Karnataka. He is a life member of Bangalore ITAT Bar Association and is presently serving as its secretary. So over to Prashanth for his deliverance.
Thank you, Bharat Bhai. Thank you, Bharat Bhai, for the kind introduction.
Sorry, I'm still not sure about that.
Thank you, AFTP West Zone, for having me here to discuss the very few proposals that have come out in the budget, interim budget 2024. Before we begin, we are indebted to our parents for life. We are indebted to our guru for the way we live. I take this opportunity to place on record my deep sense of respect and gratitude to my mentor, CAS Venkatramani, who has been a guiding force and factor in my endeavor of profession. Also, my respects to CAD Devraj and CAA Shankar, who have mentored me at various stages of my professional career. To stay beside and set the tone down, we understand that this is a vote on account budget or interim budget 2024, where, keeping proprietary in mind, major tax proposals have not been brought out and tax rates have not been tinkered with. Nevertheless, what is in for the taxpayers? One welcome move is that to get over old demands and to ensure that people get freedom from old demands, where in the department is not clear about having the documents for that, nor the assessees themselves about the correctness or otherwise of the demand. So what have they done? The finance minister has announced on the floor of the house that all demands pertaining up to assessment year 2009-10, subject to an upper limit of 25,000, would be waived off by the government. Also, from assessment year 10-11 till 14-15, the limit has been fixed at 10,000, so that any small demands which have arisen due to TDS mismatch or TCS collection or revision of TDS data by the deductors, or this maybe set aside matter due to interest computation, so on and so forth, they're wanting to give the benefit so that the government wants to start on a clean note. That's the main objective. And the finance minister has pointed out that it is going to help about 1 crore people. It may be a single person having multiple year demands, which are 25,000 and less, or in any way, it is to do with a lot of small demands being written off the books so that the staff can be deployed for a much purposeful use. And what are the amendments which have come out here? Insofar as the startups and units in IFSC are concerned, the due date for them to get the exemption was 31st March 2024. In fact, it was a sunset clause that has been now extended to 31st March 2025, which are the sections impacted. 10.4D AA dealing with investment division of offshore banking unit in IFSC. 10.4D C2 category 1 foreign portfolio investor. 10.4F wherein it is unit paying income to non-resident, that is royalty or interest earning on account of lease of aircraft or ship, though may not have normal associates, most of them in this. 1023 FE, investment by specified persons as Abu Dhabi Investment Authority, sovereign wealth funds or foreign pension funds. 80 IAC for eligible startups incorporated up to 31st March 2025. 80 LA regard to commencement of operations by the IFSC unit. So this is the extension of the sunset clause. And you also have certain extension for the framework which the central government wanted to bring in transparency and accountability, and in a faceless thing in the thing. You had 92 CA 9, 142 C 14 dealing with DRP, 92 CA was reference to transfer pricing officer, 253 9 and 255 8 dealing with the procedure with IT80. These due dates have also been extended up to 31st March 2025 for the central government to give out guidelines as to how are they wanting to bring in the framework for better administration due to transparency and accountability being there. That apart, you have the amendment in 206C1G, wherein what after the financial year commenced, during the year, that is, you had a notification by the government saying about the liberalized remittance scheme and the rates of TCS for medical treatment or education. There has been no change even in the from the notification as far and even in the interim budget here. But whereas for other purposes, with you had the limit earlier was nil up to 7 lakhs TCS for limit LRS up for other purposes, and it was 5% above 7 lakhs. Now it is 20% above 7 lakhs. And that has been given retrospective effect, saying with retrospective effect from July 1, 2023. And for purchase of overseas tour package, it was 5% without any threshold. Now, to ensure that small and medium, I would not say enterprises, small time travelers who want to enjoy the scenic things outside India, and for subject to small limits, it is 5% till 7 lakhs and 20% thereafter. And this is with retrospective effect from 1st October 2023. So what happens? One more important thing we have to keep in mind is there's a proviso. 206C1G has a proviso now saying that provided also that the sum to be collected under this section on or after the first day of July 23 and before October 23 shall be collected in accordance with the rates as they stood on the first day of April 23. So for a brief period, if when the rate was higher, that higher rate will continue to apply. But nevertheless, we have time till July when the main budget comes in. If any rationalization has to happen, those definitely will happen. And this again, this 206.1G also, they're only giving effect to it in this budget because these rates have already been announced midway during the year. It's only by giving it a legislative control and bringing it out in the statute book as part of the Finance Act that these rates have been notified. This apart, there are no major chunks are, in fact, are not even major. This apart, there is nothing else in terms of what income tax is doing. But if you have to look at how the government is going to now proposing to talk about the investments and the ease of doing business on multiple aspects, that will have a bearing. If you're looking at the foreign direct investment or the foreign portfolio investors, how they will invest, giving them the ease of doing business, those things will definitely get a new lease of life, and better things can be expected when the union budget comes in. Because one thing for sure, with complete humility at my command, I can say that this budget was ensured that it is a non-populist budget. The government did not go for giving a populist mandate just ahead of the general elections. It has been keeping in mind the proprietary aspect of it. The proposals have been brought about, and more so, the emphasis has always been to ensure that the Vikasit Bharat, as we're calling out in the Amrit Kal 2047, how we should see India as a developed country. Because what we have studied, that India is still a developing country and challenges we are facing, with the emphasis now being on youth and women empowerment and the days that, and linking Vikas and Virasat, that is the development and heritage. We are moving towards the Amrit Kal, and India would be definitely a developed nation by 2047, by which probably litigations also would come down and it will be streamlined. More than this, there's nothing more on the direct tax proposal. Over to Vijay Bhai. Thank you for the opportunity.
विजय भाई
शशांक भाई बोलो प्लीज।
हाँ, थैंक यू प्रशांत जी, आपने
Thank you.
बजट एनालिसिस के बारे में हमको जानकारी दिया। और आप जैसे आपने बताया कि इस बार बजट में डायरेक्ट इनडायरेक्ट टैक्सेस में और नॉर्मल टैक्स पेयर के लिए कुछ भी बेनिफिट नहीं है, ये एक नॉर्मल बजट ही है, वो अच्छा है। आपने हमको अच्छी तरह से बजट के एनालिसिस के बारे में बताया। अब मैं सेक्रेटरी अक्षय मोदी को आगे की कार्य के लिए विनंती करता हूँ।
First of all, I would like to thank you, Prashanth sir, for giving your valuable views on analysis of interim budget. Further, friends, before concluding, as a part of our custom and tradition, I would like to propose the formal vote of thanks. First of all, on behalf of West Zone of Federation and other joint members association, I extend wholeheartedly thanks to both the speakers. First of all, CA Vijay Kewalramani has covered all the aspects on the subject how to prepare union budget. Secondly, CA Prashanth sir for covering the various issues of budget presented by our Honorable FM Srimati Nirmala Sitharamanji. Friends, the present interim budget does not contain advantageous proposals. This is what professionals said. But our today's speaker, CA Prashanth sir, has dealt with the various crucial facts of interim budget, discussing the roadmap of government. Thank you very much, sir, for discussing the budget and giving your valuable views. Finally, we are grateful reached up to 94 for attending this webinar. We meet again in near future for discussions and deliberations on the important issues. Thank you very much for all of you for attending the budget meet organized by West Zone AFTP.
There were around 20-25 people on YouTube also.
Okay.
So you record, Secretary, you record because you have to provide these details to CEO of the AFTP of this program. 94 in this meeting and 25 on YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Sure. Thanks for your guidance, sir.
Very good count.
Is there any further discussion from the members? Because the subjects are already covered. I think so many aspects As discussed, Prashanth yesterday also, but in the program organized by, I think, Central Zone. Prashanth, you have discussed the roadmap of the government and what is the discipline maintained by the finance minister in this budget. You have rightly said that it is not the budget considering the political aspects, but how to go ahead with the people of this country. What would be the investment program of the government, and four categories they have described in this budget, that is the Garib, Kisan, Youth and
Lady.
Women.
Women.
Four pillars,
Four
these
pillar of the
four pillars
budget.
of the budget, interim budget, has been presented by the finance minister. And I think today curtailed his speech. Yesterday he has discussed what is the object of this government to elevate the India in the map of the world. So I request the other facets if Prashanth discuss. Even the vote of thanks is done by the secretary, because there are so many other aspects on the capital expenditure, and the proposal has been made by the finance minister, and educational side, technology or other infrastructure. This budget is simply said as the interim budget, but in my opinion, it is the whole budget. In July, we will expect only the any advantages proposed for the direct taxes and the indirect taxes. Otherwise, the government has cleared all its thoughts as to how the roadmap of 2047 to place the India in the name of Viksit Bharat. So this is the whole budget of yesterday's, that is the interim budget. Thank you very much. Just I share my views. There is some chat, some message in the chat box also. Is there any query?
No, there is no query.
One something on increasing 44 AD limits.
Oh, that will all come in the final budget, I believe.
In this budget, there is no
There is no
increasing.
discussion
No?
on 44 AD limits.
Yes.
I think we can conclude
Okay.
session.
Yeah.
Yes.
Then we have informal talk.
Yes. We conclude this session.
Okay.
Thank you.